Hello, check, 1, 2, there we go, guys. Well, I don't know what just happened there, but my audio mixer decided it was not going to put my mic audio through. And I was panicking for a moment there, but looks like everything is in order and we're ready to go. Welcome to another fantastic, wonderful night here of racing on the Road and Plate iRacing League here. We're in the trucks, as always, and we are at Daytona. It is going to be a plate race here. We are in week 7. And we are about to start the heat race. Take a look a little bit at the race info for tonight. It is partly cloudy with 11 mile per hour wind, 51% humidity, and 78 degrees with a track temperature of 79 degrees. So it's gonna be a little bit warmer for these guys this evening. It's just gonna be interesting to see how that plays a roll in grip. Can everybody hear me out there? How's it going, everyone? And of course, if you're not familiar with the format here, we are going to do a 15-minute heat race right out the gate. And then following that heat race will be the feature, which will be 35 minutes. So it'll actually be a certain number of laps. I cannot remember that, but I do need to make sure I put that in. It might be, oh, it is laps just in general. That's my bad. We're gonna work on that one as we go, but we're about to go green here. At Daytona, looking at your starting line, some really incredible qualifying opportunities here. We saw Steve Loving and Laura Wiseman starting up on the front, followed by Dan Ott and Dustin Bally. We also have Devin Jack. We have a newcomer this race, Nathaniel Lance in the 222. Running here tonight, Benson Weaver in the 1, Richard Lucky in the 51, and Tom Wendt in that 28 machine. Round out your top 10. We have a 23 car field here tonight. It is electric. I do have to apologize. You guys will just have to bear with me for a moment while I get my bearings. It wasn't my preferred intro, but boy oh boy, were those audio settings starting to freak me out for a moment there. It's all good though. We got it figured out before the heat race even started, and things are already getting intense. We're gonna see how long this formation stays the way it is. It looks like there's, oh, the 7 Evan Hoopchak getting a little bit out there. There seems to be a lot of favorability, a lot of strength in that bottom line led by Steve Loving there in the 27. But there's still some decent momentum from Devin Jack pushing the 84 of Laura Wiseman out there on that outside line. They've only lost so much ground, and there is a little bit of a formation moving up behind them. So we're gonna have to see if that outside lane can get a momentum going and charge up and move back up there by this time. And wow, just look at the shuffling of these cars in and out. And already you can see that outside line has gained a lot more momentum. Laura Wiseman is approaching. Getting back up towards that front lane. We're gonna have to see if anybody's gonna decide that's the move. Oh, someone shoved down bottom there. Can't quite tell. Oh, oh, they're wrecking. Caution is out. And it looks like that was Richard Lucky, I believe. I don't want to misspeak. It could have been Chris Lucky that got way out there that we saw earlier. But both of them were involved here. Evan Hoopchak, we saw get really wily. Nick Seraph ate a lot of damage there. Chris Logan as well. Chuck Labano. We got Derek in the 91. A lot of people ended up coming through on that one. We're gonna have to take a look back here. See exactly how this ended up the way it did. Things were getting real squirrely. It does look like it was the 77 of Chris Lucky that ended up on the outside. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna switch to our up top view and take a look from a blip cam Chris getting out of there, it looks like a bit. But this is where we can kind of see up here. You see right there, the 67 of Nick Seraph is actually plowing up the back of the 7, who got checked up a little bit by Benson Weaver in the 1. You can see right here, watch the 7 car on that outside lane. As he gets to the back of the 1 too fast, bumps into him, checks him up a good bit, and the 67 is just going to plow right back into him. A little bit of a domino effect. Just a bit of a rub there, and the 7 car turns Richard Lucky, sends the 28 out of the way. That might have spared him. We're going to have to see. Oh, he ends up colliding a bit with Michael Gudger, but mostly they make it out unscathed. But that's where we see the 67 collecting a bit of the 32, the 91, and a decent portion of this field. The rest of them managed to kind of get on by, basically escaping. And they're going to go ahead and start heading in pits. And so far we've got Michael Gudger, Derek in the 91, Evan Hubchak in the 7, Richard Lucky, Johnny Rapp, Sean Johnson, Brandon Brush, and Nick Seraph are all in pitting. Currently in first position, showing Laura Wiseman. Really impressive stuff here. I know this is not just me, right? But the audio is so far away on these cars from this distance. I'm gonna have to move it up a little bit. It's a little low, I think, personally. You guys let me know if you can hear it okay, because it definitely gets real quiet. Move it up just a bit here in race audio so that we can actually hear them engines when it gets to that farther away cam. It's kind of crazy. I don't think I've ever experienced that on Daytona. It looks like everybody is back out on the field. And this is your current lineup here. You can take a look at that top 10 tower. We got Laura Wiseman, Steve Loving, Devin Jack, Dan Ott, Dustin Bawley, Nathaniel Lance, Samuel Stoner, Benson Weaver, Tom Wendt, and Phil Keck. I noticed earlier Jay Bast, currently not here this evening racing, but he says $1,000 on a Tom Wendt win. Well, how good's your money, Jay? We'll see if somebody takes you up on that one. But Tom Wendt is doing fantastic so far, holding out just in the top 10 here. Jacob Bradley pulling for Johnny Rapp. Johnny not having a great show of it in this start, but this is only the heat race. This is just setting up for the feature. As I was explaining before, if you're unfamiliar with the format, we are going to have, I guess it was a 16-lap heat race here at Daytona, and then I guess approximately 35 minutes equivalent in laps, so maybe like 36, 37 laps for the feature. But the heat race will set the lineup for the feature in a very unique way. Now, obviously, this heat race is worth points, and everybody is trying to get the most points they absolutely can here. So everybody's pushing for a big win. It all matters in the long run, but to keep things interesting, to keep things shaken up, especially, you know, the way it works out, we've seen how competitive it is. The top 10 in the heat race will invert. So whoever finishes 10th in the heat will go to the pole for the feature, and whoever's leading, whoever wins the heat race will start in 10th. The rest of the field starts exactly where they finish from 11th back to 23rd, from where they finish in the heat race. So very, very interesting. And if you're thinking to yourself, if you're new here, you haven't seen that before, you're thinking, that can't possibly work. Well, I have some really interesting news for you. We have had an incredible set of races so far. We have had 6 weeks with 6 different winners. Can't ask for more competition than that. It is a fierce, fierce battle going on in this championship. And we're going green again. Laura Wiseman out front. Steve Loving's gonna fall in behind. Looks like he's eyeing the outside a little bit. Devin Jack forming up behind. And Steve Loving is looking to the outside of Laura Wiseman already here. Not really being friendly with the push. But we know these plate tracks are where Steve Loving does his best, so he's not going to waste any opportunity. There he goes. And we're seeing it happen right now. Steve Loving jumping in front of that outside line, and he's going to jump down in front of Laura, and Steve Loving's going to reassume the lead, and that is what we expect out of that 27 of Steve Loving on these plate tracks. Oh, very, very tight in there. The 29 of Dan Ott, door to door with Laura Wiseman. Really uncomfortably tight area they were in just now. And we're just kind of waiting to see how things shake up a bit here. That outside line is losing momentum. The 222, that car we're looking at right there, that black vehicle, Nathaniel Lance, not really able to get a lot mustered behind Dan Ott. Dan Ott's going to instead jump in the line, and that outside line is losing a lot of momentum. Dustin Bawley gonna bite off a little bit, see what he can get. He has a run. Sam Stoner's gonna go with him in the 65. And look at this, the 5 of Robert Brobst just encroached his way up into the top 10. He's up 10 positions overall in this heat race. Really impressive stuff from him so far too. And look at that, that run that Dustin Bawley had was something. Because now he is challenging. With Sam Stoner just behind him, Laura Wiseman still pushing Steve Loving. She is doing fantastic here at this plate track. We were talking to her last week about her great finish in the feature with her highest finish of the season. I believe it was 6th. Really great improvement from her as a driver. And here she is right now doing some incredible pushing up in the front. It's very hairy to obviously be in these situations, you know. It's very uncomfortable. Anything can happen. I don't envy these guys. I've been in this scenario, especially at somewhere like Daytona, and these trucks, they're made for a bit of pushing. And people, as we get closer to this finale here, it's just gonna get a little tighter, a little squirrelier. People are gonna be going for passes, going for moves. Oh! We have a wreck. Someone went off. Evan Hubchak. It's still green. And that has caused a split in the field. Johnny Rapp is now pushed to the back. One of the Lucky brothers there. It looks like Chris Lucky. No. I'm sorry, that's actually Brandon Brush. In the 41. Now gonna try to catch up to that front pack that is still holding really tightly here. We're gonna need to go back and see what happened. That sent Evan Hubchak off track. I saw Johnny Rapp also off track. But because we're staying green, don't want to leave this action just yet here. Whoa! Steve Loving got a little loose in the back there. And that pack behind with Brandon Brush leading has done a pretty good job of getting themselves back into a position. They formed up really quick and they're catching this front pack. With 5 laps to go this time now. And this front pack has formed up quite a bit. They're all back in action, but things are really dicey. Johnny Rapp trying to force it through the middle, and that's gonna do it. That's gonna send people through. That's not a yellow yet. Phil Keck spinning through that inside lane. We're on board Sean Johnson right now. See how hairy and thick it is in here. I can't believe that they went spinning through the green and it kept it green. Because of it, it stayed off track. We're still going. Don't you worry, ladies and gentlemen, when this heat race is over, we will talk to the winner, but we will go back and look at those accidents, what exactly caused them. See if we can get a replay on them. I see a lot of movement out of Dan Ott. He keeps moving a bit towards the middle. It seems it's a bit squeamish to see this happening. You can see right there the 346 of Chuck Labano. Up 7 positions right now. Gotta speak right behind him, the 67, Nick Serif. Up 9 positions overall so far. Sean Johnson pushed to the outside. He's gonna slot back in. And this is the pack to watch right now. That outside line has dissolved quite a bit. Dustin Bally is losing pretty much all momentum. Steve Loving is not able to do much to get him back. Sam Stoner, he's trying. They're trying to make something work out of it. They're catching up a little bit. Man, Sam Stoner is a car on the move. He is doing a fantastic job. Almost a one-man pushing machine for that 24 of Dustin Bally. Getting him back up to the front. That outside line was quite in trouble there for a minute. And now it's fully formed back up. Nick Serif pulling up the tail. And again, we look here. I'm talking Steve Loving, Dustin Bally. Early in the front, we got 2 laps to go. Laura Wiseman, 4th. Nathaniel Lance, sitting in 5th. Benson Weaver in the number 1, currently sitting in 8th. And Dan Ott once again looking in the middle. It makes my hair stand on end a little bit every time I see him do that, because that just has been provably not a great idea in this pack. And we're about to come to the white flag, so it's only going to get more interesting as this is the heat race. And everybody's going to be vying for the best points here and the best position that they can be in so that they can go in. These guys that are just outside of the top 10 behind Brandon Brush and Sean Johnson there. Your Nick Serif, your Michael Gudgers, Chuck Labano. Your Tom Wentz. He's up here too, the 28 on that inside line, the green truck. They're going to be looking to try to get in this top 10. It's going to give them a great position starting out. We're going 3 wide. Michael Gudger's in the middle. It's not quite working out for him. We're coming around this time. This will be the checkered flag. Who's going to be in what position? Who wins the heat? Oh, Dan Ott has turned. Benson Weaver spun. It's going to be... It looks like it says Dustin Bally. I'm getting a report. It's Dustin Bally has won the heat race. Wow, what a finale to that heat. Steve Loving pulling up 2nd, Sam Stoner with 3rd, Laura Wiseman 4th, Nathaniel Lance 5th, Devin Jackins 6th, Brandon Brush 7th, Sean Johnson 8th, Tom Wendt 9th, and Chuck Labano pulling up 10th. Wow. And we need to go take a look at that real quick. As they came to line, how exactly we got where we were. I said it before. Being in this position is not ideal. And I do believe Dan Ott was who I saw involved in that scenario, so we're gonna focus on there. Yeah, it's this 3 wide section right here. He comes up, he's gonna clip across the nose of the 64, tag the back of the 1 of Benson Weaver. I feel terrible for Benson there. He was having an awesome run. Nick Serif, Sean Johnson, Brandon Brush, all gonna get caught in the crossfire. Tom Wendt gonna see it, snake his way through. Same with Chuck Labano. They escape it. And you see Benson Weaver there pushing to drive across that line to get the good finish. I appreciate that. That's incredible. Well, they're about to start gridding up. There's a bit of a warm up here, so I'm going to go ahead and grab the heat race winner, Dustin Bally. See if we can chat with him real quick. Dustin, Rain Broadcast, you got me here.
Rain, I do. How you doing, man? Good evening.
Good evening. How's it going?
Oh man, that was interesting. Me and Steve again, seeing who was going to pull it off. Yeah, I was just trying to secure our 1-2. I didn't care who finished ahead of who, and we managed to pull it off. It was a good race.
Yeah, absolutely. It was fantastic. I don't know how much of what you saw going on or what you were privy to, but man, you guys, you had I think it was just the one yellow.
We had,
right?
Yeah, we had the one yellow, but there were several.
There were two other big wrecks that went into the infield and did not throw yellows because they stayed off the track. So really incredible stuff.
Yeah, I didn't get any reports. I mean, me and Johnny are the admins tonight, and I didn't hear any reports that there were multiple cars blocking the track. So we just kept going. So
Oh yeah, no, they definitely weren't. Well,
up front, everyone was driving pretty clean. I thought it was a pretty good race. So it'll be good to get shuffled back and work our way up a little bit and kind of see how we do in the middle.
Absolutely, it definitely was really interesting. It's what we know out of Daytona. Tell me a little bit about what you were seeing there. You had a really great push coming from Sam Stoner pretty much that entire time. There was a lot of sections where that outside line was losing its muster, and just out of nowhere, that 65 would get a boost of momentum and shoot you guys back to the front. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it has to do with the positioning. So, you know, I was trying to keep me and Steve in the front, and I think Sam and I had the strength to probably push past, but I didn't want to get Steve left behind. You know, we're kind of working together. So Sam, yeah, I was waiting for Sam to turn me, honestly. I was on the last lap. Sam basically was pushing me, you know, the whole way, and I was waiting for him to turn me, and he didn't. So Sam, I appreciate it for doing that. And he finished a P3, so that was good for him in the sprint race. But yeah, we'll see how it goes in the feature. But yeah, expect a lot of more close racing and a lot of pushing and a lot of aggression there as we get down to like 2 to 3 to go.
All right, I'll let you get back to it. Good luck for you.
All right, thanks, Rain. Good talking to you.
Just a moment here. I don't know why. There we go. All right, we got him back out of there. Send him back to his race chat. And that does make things interesting. As I said, this is now when the field inverts. The top 10. So as we take a look at the results there from the heat race. As you can see, that means Chuck Labano will be starting on the pole, followed by Tom Wendt, Sean Johnson, Brandon Brush, Devin Jack, Nathaniel Lance, Laura Wiseman, Sam Stoner, Steve Loving, and Dustin Bally. That will be your top 10. Then it'll be Nick Seraph, Michael Gudger, Benson Weaver, Dan Ott, Evan Hubchak, Robert Brobst, Derek. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to ask you how you pronounce your last name after we get through this broadcast here tonight. But Derek in the 91 there, Richard Lucky in 18th, Chris Lucky 19th, Johnny Rapp 20th, Chris Logan 21st, Daniel Morris Jr. 22nd, Phil Keck rounding out 23rd. And the field is gridded up. And we are getting ready to go here in the feature race. Sam Stoner jumped to pits. I'm not sure what happened there. The 65 has just went into pit road very suddenly. I'm not seeing any report here of any reason why it would have been caused, so we're gonna have to keep an ear out and see what happened that sent Sam Stoner out there. This is going to be an interesting feature. As you can see, we've got 32 laps to go. And this is the feature. This one's for all the marbles, the big boy points. And anything can happen at a race like Daytona. Jay Bast, you had your money on a Tom Went win. Tom Went currently on the front row. We'll have to see if he's able to finagle his way up there and keep his nose out of trouble. Could make you a rich man. There goes the pace car diving off pit road. And we are getting ready to go green here. Now this time, the feature race begins at Daytona in the Road and Plate iRacing Stock Car Series. Oh, Sam Stoner coming out now. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there, but that's going to put him a lap down starting out. That is really unfortunate. We're going to have to see if we can chat with him, see what happened, especially after such a strong showing in the heat race. Good news is there is bound to be a caution. And if that's the case, he'll be able to get himself back on the lead lap with it. Things getting started pretty early here. What a great camera shot that is. Everybody, as you can see them forming up. And it looks like that inside line is a bit of a train. The outside line being led by Tom Wentz, still Brandon Brush pushing up the 222. Nathaniel Lance forming up just behind as he was in the heat race. Same position, same spot. Michael Gudger much further behind on that outside line, not really getting any momentum off of Dan Ott just yet, or Robert Probst, and I do believe that is Sean Johnson back there as well. You can see our heat winner, Dustin Bawley, all the way back in 18th right now, behind Johnny Rapp. Steve Loving, the second place, just behind Laura Wiseman now. Nick Serif behind him. Michael Gudger now catching up to that outside. But he's going to actually fall in line with the inside lane. That's going to lose a bit of momentum off of that outside. Dan Ott moving with a head of steam, though. That 6-car tandem could do something. We're just going to have to see if they're going to be able to withstand the might of that inside line. Steve Loving out of order there. He felt the heat. He drops out. Thought things probably felt a little too dicey. He drops himself out. He's going to lead that second pack instead for now. And what we're going to do at this exact time is we're just going to kind of let everybody settle in for a moment and do a bit of a crank it up. Well, that is a very interesting camera angle. It would appear as though Brandon Brush is inside of Tom Wendt. There goes Sean Johnson. Look at him moving. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, recovery. It's, oh no, it's not. Tom Wendt gets shoved Laura Wiseman around. Laura Wiseman's on her side. And that is the big one. They almost saved it. It was so close. Wow, a number of cars involved in that one. I didn't even have time to get the nameplate off with how much was going on. I could sense something was starting there. We're gonna have to go back now, trying to see where this yellow started. Seeing about right here. We're gonna go ahead up top. That top view again. And I mean, this is pretty much it, right? We can go back and we can look at Brandon Brush. The moment Sean Johnson moves up here, Tom Wendt goes up, catches the wall, comes down. Brandon Brush tags a little bit. Everybody pretty much is okay, but the 49 kind of sends him up and just way too much happens way too quickly. And everyone starts getting a little bit of it. Go on board with Laura Wiseman here as this unfolded. There's nothing you can do in that scenario. We're on board with Daniel Morris Jr. There she goes, turned. A brutal ride. And everyone's coming down pit road, save for Chris Logan, Phil Keck. It looks like they're keeping themselves out. They feel pretty good about how they were going. And that is going to make things a bit interesting here. Because of the nature of Daytona here, just gonna let everything kind of settle out for a moment. Trying to diagnose an issue I'm having here. Bear with me, folks. All right, it looks like we are going to go green this time by. This is the first caution of the feature. We're going to have 22 laps to go when we come to the green. There goes the pace car now. And Chris Logan and Phil Keck are going to lead us to the green flag. There are 22 laps to go here in this race at Daytona, the Road and Plate Series. And already, I mean, we're seeing a lot of new faces up front here. Again, new potential for a new winner. It would be quite impressive if we had a repeat, considering, you know, it's not many of them. Brandon Brush won Talladega, the first race of the season. He's up there right now. It could be him. He could sneak his way through the same way he did before and snag himself an early win. Be the first repeat winner of the season. We're gonna have to see. Oh, Chris Lucky. That's 77. Getting a bit bogged down by Benson Weaver. Benson Weaver checking up behind the 64 a little bit, just going a little slower than Chris Lucky probably wants at that point. About got him sideways when we got pushed into by a 346 of Chuck Labano there. Phil Keck kind of all over the place up here, the 888 behind Sean Johnson. It looks like Phil feels maybe that he's got some kind of run, or I don't imagine he's just that squirrely in general. 222 gonna dive out. He's gonna try to cut Labano out of it. Nathaniel Lance not able to make anything out of it just yet here. You can see all the way back there our heat race winner Dustin Bawley back in 20th. Steve Loving's dropping out now. Again, he probably feels the heat. The 70 also feeling the heat. He's going to drop out. He can sense something going on up here that nobody else, that only Steve Loving and him can see, really. The rest of these guys, they're going to go for it. It's real squirrely and real dangerous. You can see the Steve Loving hooked up back there with the 24. They're going to try to make something of this, but now that changes the front pushers. Sean Johnson, Phil Keck sitting on the front, pushed by Robert Bropes and Michael Gudger. What a lineup we have here. 19 to go at Daytona. Looks like it's not quite calm just yet, but it is settling in a little bit here, but things still are a bit squirmy. Doesn't seem so much squirmy in terms of anybody going for passes, though, more of just the natural shake of the cars, these trucks, the way they move around. People trying to stay in line, keep themselves going, not get too far in behind somebody. Oh, Michael Gudger looked like he was looking a bit inside. I think I have a tell there. What was with that ooh noise I keep making? Pushing hard on the 32 now. Bumper to the rear. You look at this pack up front. tight racing. They're coming up on Laura Wiseman, who's a lap down already. Gonna be going around lapping her. She's gonna dive down bottom. Everybody was already fidgeting. They were getting a little worried about how they were gonna get around that lap car. But she was out of the way before they could even think about it. We're watching now, wondering what's gonna happen next here. There are so many possibilities, so much at stake. And look at this, Phil Keck's been filtered to the outside. And this is gonna make things a bit hairy. Robert Brobst now, he's being pushed to the front, but Michael Gudger saw the opportunity, moved up line. Phil Keck shuffled way out there. And this is what I was looking to see. I knew it was gonna start getting interesting pretty quick. Michael Gudger and Robert Brobst now leading this pack. The 222 gonna assume that outside line lead as Michael Gudger and Robert Brobst linked up. They're aligned with each other. They used to be teammates in another league. And that outside line is looking for its momentum back. It's gathering a bit here with Nathaniel Lance. Grabbing a bit of side draft. Real tight there to Sean Johnson. Very, very strong hold there on his turn. Oh, there it is! And that has collected a number of cars. And that is the caution brought out. I'm not really sure where that one started. We're gonna have to go back really quickly here. Take a look if we can see. Get that up top view. Number of people involved here. Oh, once again. And we can see it right there. Devin Jack comes up, clips Chuck Labano. It turns him into the back of Benson Weaver. That one car cannot catch a break from just getting turned around. They get Johnny Rapp, who checks up, catches Nick Serif there. Tom Wendt also taking damage. Labano escaping from most of it there. But we can see here, that's pretty much the group that got the tag. Wow. Really unfortunate stuff there. You got to feel for Benson Weaver in this scenario. He's currently in 12th right now. But he sustained a decent bit of damage. And he again, just kind of up there running a pretty strong race, minding his business. Just gets tagged from behind. Nothing he could do in that scenario. You can't go faster or get out of the way of it. And that's going to change things up a lot. Johnny Rapp coming down pit road. Tom Wendt, Dan Ott, Richard Lucky. There's Benson Weaver there in the one. Steve Loving. Devin Jack. Dustin Bawley. Phil Keck. Sam Stoner. Chris Logan. Nick Seraph. All coming down pit road now. Laura Wiseman gonna be trying to recover whatever laps she can here. She does get the lucky dog. She was 2 laps down at the time. Still gonna have a little bit of work to do to get back on that lead lap. We are going to be at 10 to go. Coming to the line this time when we go green. Leading up front, Michael Gudger and Robert Brobst, followed by Sean Johnson, Nathaniel Lance. Then we've got Brandon Brush, Chuck Labano. Chris Lucky made his way up here. He's up 12 positions. Daniel Morris Jr. up 14 positions. Derek in that 91. Evan Huchak in the 7, rounding out your top 10. And here goes the pace car diving off now. It will be 10 to go this time by. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Gudger takes us to the green. A little bit of a slow start there. On board Sean Johnson now, the back of that 64. Robert Brobst falling in line. They have pulled away quite a bit. Something really strange happened on that restart. I'm not really sure what that was. We're gonna have to talk and see what some of these guys had to say after the fact. Ideally, that will be the final restart. Brandon Brush now going to try to assume the lead up in the top. He jumps in front of Nathaniel Lance. Chris Lucky in the 77. Look at him. He is going to be out here in the top 6. And you can see a lot of the veteran instinct from a lot of these guys. Steve Loving, he's getting in there with the pack, but Dustin Bally falling back a bit. And you gotta imagine there is a bit of apprehension to get involved in this pack. You know that there's still 9 laps to go, and that things are gonna get dicey very, very quickly, and anything can happen. Laura Wiseman is currently back on the lead lap, by the way. Ahead of Devin, Jack, and Tom Went. Tom Went, unfortunately, pulling up the rear right now. That is really not necessarily any fault of his own. Sorry about that, Jay. Benson Weaver, currently sitting back in 20th, trying to catch the pack here. We've seen what he can do when he gets up there, so hopefully he can get caught back up here. And the outside line has changed. The 346 of Chuck Labano is out in front of Brandon Brush. But that 3 car inside, those guys, they all have a pretty steep history. Michael Gudger, Sean Johnson, Robert Probst, very familiar with one another. Johnny Rapp to the outside there, shuffled back. Gonna decide to pull up the rear of this outside line. Sam Stoner. And things are splitting up. We're going 3 wide. This is... No, we're still not there yet. This has been interesting. I've expected that we would go more than just 1 or 2 cars 3 wide at a couple of times during this race. And it's only been 1 or 2 guys that have done it. I mean, I understand why. It's definitely not resulted in the greatest things, but we've seen these guys also do some pretty incredible 3 wide racing already at Atlanta and Talladega. So, oh, the 222 kind of forcing the issue there ahead of the 91. 91 backs off, saves himself. Chris Lucky looks for the middle. Steve Loving is also looking for the middle. Richard Lucky right there in the 51. Evan Hoopchak blinking. At this point, you do have to kind of stay with this front pack. I mean, you don't want to be involved in the next big one. Yeah, absolutely, but there's a huge opportunity. You can see there is a pack splitting off. It looks like we might finally be going 3 wide. Oh, Sam Stoner and Johnny Rapp drag the wall. They're not going to stay there long. And that's detrimental. They had quite a bit of a run. Oh, Benson Weaver's around. He's locking it down, getting it back, and that is going to be pretty much it. Oh no! Brandon Brush! And that's the caution. And we're still wrecking. Oh man. Let's go take a look back here. We're going to start with where Benson Weaver got around. Let's go ahead and jump on board Benson Weaver there. See what exactly caused where he ends up getting loose. The 70 comes down, just tags him again. Consistently a victim of this throughout this race. Holds on to it a pretty decent bit, but stuff starts happening up here in the front. I'm not exactly sure where it starts. We're gonna have to pay attention. And that's where it is. Let's go back here. Focused on Michael Gudger. Brandon Brush shuffles down. Michael Gudger barely comes up at all. It's honestly more of Brandon and Labano trying to come down in front of the 64. That sends him around. Oh, and Evan Hoopchak checked into by the 32. Netcode just saves Michael Gudger there. Dan Ott not able to escape it. Steve Loving pushing his way through. Dustin Bally survives it just barely. Nick Seraph almost clips him. And yeah, a number of cars involved there. We're gonna have to take a look at the report. We got Richard Lucky in pits, Dan Ott in the pits, Robert Brobst leaving now, Chris Logan in the pits, Tom Wendt, and Nick Seraph. I can't imagine they have fasties at this point. They're gonna be stuck there for a little while. They might not be finishing this race. And this will be potentially the race, the final restart of the race here, should everything hold steady until the white flag. You can see Tom Wendt trying to get out of there. He is currently still on the lead lap. He's going to have to rush his way around the field now. He is missing a front. He's just going to try to get some positions there. I can't blame him. And just a moment of silence for the silent victims of this race. Thankfully, we can see Benson Weaver is in 15th right now. He's still going to compete for this thing. Got to be pulling for him at this point. Just consistently trying to run the best race he can, getting hooked pretty much every single time. Currently, the biggest mover of the night is Phil Keck. He's up 11 positions. Well, he was up 12. Now he's tied 4th for biggest mover. The pace car is off. The green flag is going. Chuck Labano goes. And Michael Gudger falls in line. Sean Johnson just behind. Nathaniel Lance, and look at this. Now that outside line is seeing some familiar faces. Steve Loving gonna try to get some support, but Evan Hubchak is real damaged. Oh, Michael Gudger now decides he wants a bit of it. That allows Steve Loving to get right up there. And they are rocketing forward. Look at the 24 push. Evan Hubchak in the 7. This group, it is going to be wild. There are 2 to go. We just gotta get to the line. If we can just make it to the line without someone getting turned. Here it is. White flag this time by. We are going to see the finish here. Now things are going to go a bit haywire here. Sean Johnson. Oh, and there it is already. The wreck has started. A number of cars are piling up back here. Laura Wiseman, Sam Stoner, Nick Seraph. But most of the front pack's still unscathed, including Benson Weaver sitting in 9th. But look at this lead Michael Gudger has. The 346 of Chuck Labano. You gotta imagine he's looking to see. He is. He's diving out, but the 77's gonna push him. It's gonna be close. At the line, the finish, Michael Gudger. Michael Gudger wins at Daytona. The 64 crosses the line just ahead. 2/100ths of a second ahead of Chuck Labano. Or 1/100th, actually. I'm getting a totally different time here than my timer. We'll go off the timing tower, 1/100th of a second. But that's your winner right there, Michael Gudger, ladies and gentlemen. He takes it home, followed by Chuck Labano, Chris Lucky, Steve Loving, Johnny Rapp, Nathaniel Lance, Brandon Brush, Benson Weaver, Dustin Bawley, and Phil Keck. They round out your top 10, and it looks like we're going to have a little bit of ease here starting our interviews with our biggest mover of the night. Actually was in our top 3. So let's go ahead here and grab in the number 3 position there, finishing on the podium, taking in the bronze. Chris Lucky, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you, Rain?
Well, I am entertained at the very least. It was a wildly fascinating race. Things were intense. There was a long portion there where it just seemed like you weren't really going to be in contention. And then out of nowhere, on that second to last restart, you were shot up the front of the field. And you've been there pretty much ever since. And here you are on the podium now. Tell us a little bit about your race.
Yeah, for the most part, I just try to survive these and keep a clean truck. And if you do that, you can usually find yourself towards the front at the end. I'm not sure I've ever won a restrictor plate race because I drive these that way, but I'm usually in the top 10, so it works.
Well, I mean, you definitely exceeded that goal there. You were contending pretty hard there at the end. Obviously, there was going to end up being something akin to a big one coming through. Tell us a little bit about, that feeling when it goes white and, kind of seeing everything as it transpires behind you and just trying to focus on what's ahead.
Yeah, on the white flag lap there, I was on the bottom and was going to try to be the truck to make a move to the top so I could get on the podium. And the guy in front of me, don't know who it was, a black truck, he went up and left the bottom there. So, I'm like, man, maybe I can get up there and get second. And almost did. I know Loving was fast. He had he was pretty aggressive mover there throughout the race. In fact, before that last caution, he was pushing my brother up the middle line there, which I tried to do earlier in the race and just got forced down to the bottom lane. If you can get to the middle and you have help, you can go straight to the front. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And it definitely shook out well for you. You and your brother have had some incredible racing finishes so far this season. Definitely some of the most consistent people we have seen so far. And I mean, obviously you're both immensely talented, but we got to say, despite seeing you guys kind of constantly up here near the top, at least in the top 5, or whether it be in the heat or in the feature race, I mean, we're now on week 7 and it's a 7th different winner again.
Yeah, that speaks volumes for the league and what this, top 10 invert does and just how evenly spread the talent is throughout the field. So this is a great league.
Absolutely. Well, is there anything else you want to say? Anybody else you want to thank before I let you go?
Yeah, I want to thank you, Rain, for doing the broadcast. Thanks to everybody that helps run the league. I know Dustin's the main guy there. Thanks to my brother for helping me out. He's going to have some repairs to do on my rig. My TV almost fell off the back of the stand that I have it on. So,
man.
Yeah. And that's it. So thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Congrats to you. And it looks like, unfortunately, oh man, I wanted to say to Chris Lucky, he was our biggest mover of the night, up 16 positions overall. We do not have the second place Chuck Labano. He's currently taken off. He's jumped in the hauler and hauled out of here. So we're going to go ahead and pull our winner, Michael Gudger, instead, sitting here in victory lane. Michael, how's it feel?
Great, pretty good.
Well, I mean, you've been pretty much running towards the front here. We know you're strong at plates. We know you love a good plate race. I mean, walk us through this last restart and, you know, what you were trying to do, your strategy to get yourself to where you are finishing and winning this race.
So basically, my plan was to not have a plan. Me and Sean just decided we'd just see how the restart went and just go from there. And fortunately, it worked out good, at least for me. I know Sean got wrecked, but that was kind of unfortunate for him. But yeah, I was able to hang on with Chuck. Chuck tried to pull the move off before, and I got a shove from, I don't know who it was, but I got my back bumper absolutely destroyed coming to the line by Chris Lucky, and that gave me the boost that I needed to win.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And you had a pretty strong push from Chuck Labano all the way up until the 346 moved to the outside, was challenging you. Official timer says 1/100th of a second. It was that tight coming to the line. I mean, the adrenaline's got to be pumping at this point.
Oh yeah, that whole white flag lap. Oh my goodness. Man, I was going down the back straight and I was like, I am not winning this race. I am not winning this race. I am not winning this race. But you know, we won.
Yeah, you did. It must have been some reverse psychology or something, because it got you there in the end. I mean, tell us a little bit about, you know, anything you kind of experienced throughout this race. I mean, obviously there were a couple of restarts. There was some issues. Tell us a little bit about how you felt you did in the heat race as well.
Honestly, should have started pole, but unfortunate things happen. Daytona's a pretty narrow track, so kind of hard to go through wide, but racing was clean in my opinion. Yeah, there's really not really anything to say. I think this is a pretty good group of guys. We can race around each other pretty comfortably.
I'm inclined to agree. And I mean, you obviously don't particularly enjoy doing or want to come do the road aspect of road and plate. You're pretty much really in for the plate races, and it's shown something pretty interesting about the way, you know, all of this, like the way the format works. We've talked about this before with the inversion of the field and how it keeps things interesting. But one of the most important things is the variation of winners. And as of tonight, we are in week 7, and you are the 7th different winner this season.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no repeats. It has all been new winners every single time.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm pretty cool to be part of it.
Well, I mean, there's always the chance to run it back. I know we are going to Canadian Tire, so you won't be at that one next week?
Probably not. I think the next plate race is Talladega, and that's the season closer.
It is Talladega, the season closer. We're going Canadian Tire, then Road Atlanta, and then Talladega to close. So we'll see you back on the 16th of May at Talladega then.
Yep, I'll be there.
How you feel about Talladega? You feel pretty confident?
Same as I pretty much do every other plate track. Can do good with a little bit of luck.
Well, hey, congratulations. Go enjoy the win. Go celebrate, and keep riding that feeling. It was a fantastic win for you.
Hell yeah.
Anybody you want to thank? Anybody? Anything you want to say before I let you go out of here?
Not really. I guess thanks for Sean and Robert for pushing me up there and keeping me up there the whole race.
All right. Well, congratulations, Michael. Enjoy your win.
Thank you.
Michael Gudger, ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the race. And now we're going to talk to one more person here, somebody we saw do pretty good and get a fantastic finish out from the race, despite all odds kind of being stacked against them. We're going to grab Benson Weaver, the number 1, a bit of a fan favorite actually this season. We constantly see people talking about him. Benson, you got us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't have to tell you, this race was not kind on you.
It wasn't. I was, yeah, just kind of. I got hooked in both the heat and the main. I was just, unfortunate events. I don't know what else I could have done in either of those situations, but
Yeah, absolutely. There was the obviously the hook in the heat. We saw that. We looked at it. We talked about it. It's like nothing you can do when it's just grabbing you from the back, and then see it replay exactly the same way practically here in the future was disheartening. But it's like, maybe there'll be a chance for you to make the comeback at that point, and then
yeah,
right after that we catch another wreck, and you get tagged by somebody turning and catching you, I think, in the front that time. But again, I mean, you were completely on a different side of the track, and
yeah,
just took you again. Somehow you come out of that, and on this final restart, I mean, I'm actually looking at the wreck that happened here on the final, that happened right in front of you. You're sitting there behind Phil Keck, and you managed to swerve yourself around that. But I mean, you managed to get in pretty good position. I think we said you were restarting 15th on that final restart, and here you are finishing 8th despite all odds, getting a top 10. I mean, walk us through that feeling and those final laps.
yes, yeah. That last restart. I mean, I just, it's, so far back, but I just figured the copy, the quote of whichever ARCA driver that was. I'm not lifting till I see God or the checkered flag, and so I followed through with that. And there was a big one in front of me. I managed to get around it, and then there was another big one in front of me. I just got incredibly lucky. I mean, it was, kind of a bit reckless, but it's the last lap. It's, I'm trying to get as good of a finish as I could, and I mean, I think I succeeded with that.
Well, I'd definitely say you would. Like I said, we felt like we had to talk to you. We probably would have talked to you if you wouldn't have had a good finish, just because of you were running so strong all race. We really thought you were in contention up there, and just repeatedly seeing you at the getting caught in something you were nowhere near a part of or had anything to do with. So to instead see you come out and manage to pull in a top 10 through all that chaos at the end, really spectacular stuff for you.
Yeah, it was exciting.
Well, I'm anything you looking forward to next? We are going to Canadian Tire next week. And how you feel going back to the road?
I'm not great on the road. I mean, I'm sure you've seen that, but I'll show up still. It's just still, run as far back as many entries as there are. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But, I mean,
well, hey, I mean, look, there's no reason to be down on anyone here. We've seen some pretty consistent improvement from people throughout this season, and I mean, like I said, we're on our 7th different winner in 7 weeks of racing. So anything can happen at any time in this thing. And not to mention, there's still a plate track to go in the finale at Talladega. So you still could end up bringing one home if you don't feel like you're going to do well on those 2 road courses. There's still Talladega.
yeah, that's where my last shot really is.
Well, anything you want to say? Anybody you want to thank or anything before we let you get out of here?
Yeah, want to thank Leaders Board, the team I'm on, and making some good progress with the creating the team. It's still kind of being built up, but see it over my truck. So that, and then I have a number 1 hero cards company. Just started that up, making a hero card. So if anybody needs a hero card, message me and I'll make one for you.
Oh, there you go. Where can they message you at?
Discord right now. It's still getting that all set up, but yeah, just.
All right, there you go. Make sure to reach out to Benson Weaver if you're looking for any Euro cards. Let him know. All right, well, congrats again for the top 10. Great stuff, and we'll look forward to seeing more from you. Thanks a lot, Benson.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it. I don't know about you, but that was pretty exciting. we are going to Canadian Tire next week on the 2nd. That will be my final race of broadcast, and I'm not sure who's picking up the final 2 races this season, but unfortunately, that is the end of my run this season. We will be seeing what's coming next for next season. Looks good. Looks pretty good so far, but obviously some things are coming up personally right now, and so gonna turn it over to somebody else. So we're gonna make the most of Canadian Tire next week. And then following that, it'll be Road Atlanta and Talladega, and that will be the end of the season. All 10 races will be finished. So make sure you're here Thursday night. As always, it'll be on my channel next week, the week after. We'll try to advertise as much as possible during next week's stream where the next one will be, so you guys know where to go and where to look at for that. As always, if you enjoyed this race, please click the like button down below. If you're new, please go ahead and click the subscribe button. It's very, very helpful, and it does a lot for the channel. And as always, comment, say who your favorites were, what your favorite moments were, timestamp it, talk about it in the comments, and always join us and tell us who your favorite drivers are in the live chat. I love interacting with you in real time. We don't pretend you don't exist. It's a lot more fun when we talk with you guys as the races are going on, seeing who you're pulling for. So thank you all so much for being here. It's been a great time, and I hope we can catch you in the near future. Hold on just one moment, actually. 1 second. Actually, we're going to grab one more. Hang on 1 second. All right, actually, here, let's go ahead and talk with the runner-up outside of the top 3 as well, Steve Loving. We saw some stuff from him tonight, some pretty interesting decisions, some interesting moves. We saw a lot of dropping to the back when things were getting a bit dicey. We know you talked about that before, and how things, how you don't really like seeing what's going on up there, getting caught in something too early. It's definitely worked out for you for the better, pulling up 4th. Tell us about the race.
It was interesting. It was rough. We really tried to work together. Evan and Dustin and I tried to stick it out and try to avoid everything. We were trying really hard to find a way to link up to do a 1-2-3. Coming to that last restart, we were lined up. We were on our way. Then there was a racing incident, kind of scrambled things up, and then everybody was really on their own from there. But overall, it's a good run.
I'd have to say so. I mean, the heat race was impressive by the fact it was only one actual caution that was thrown, despite there being a couple of incidents still sending people off track. But I mean, the final race here, despite a couple of incidents here and there, relatively pretty clean racing. There was a lot of times where people got swiped a bit and were able to recover and still hold strong. Not as much 3 wide racing as I would have expected. I've seen that happen with this league, with people not being afraid to go 3 wide. That was a bit different tonight.
Yeah, there's a couple times we were trying to go for it. I kept trying to look for a safe spot to do it. But anytime I saw a hole open up, either the high side or low side started wiggling around really hard, and I was like, I don't think it's ready yet. You just kind of have to treat it like some cookies in the oven, just wait for the right time to pull them out. But then Lucky got up in the middle, and I decided to tuck him behind him, and we kind of started pushing around a little bit. But it didn't seem to be very stable, and I was trying to save the truck and save the rest of the field. If I'm going to make a pass, I want to make sure I can actually gain a spot and not lose 15.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of pick and choose.
Absolutely. Hey, I mean, it came out in the end there. You managed to pull out the 4th, just ahead of Johnny Rapp there. I mean, you guys were doing some pretty incredible stuff. Obviously, we've talked about the format before. It's yielded another new winner, 7 different winners in 7 races.
Yeah, it's good. The format's great. It's interesting having the heat. I mean, if you pull off the W in the heat, then you're going to start back in 10th, and you got to figure out, you're going to plow your way through to the front, or you're going to hang back and wait for a better opportunity to do it. So it does create a little bit of a challenge and get to move things around. But nonetheless, it's a good group, and it's a reasonable amount of trucks. On a super speedway, I think the sweet spot's usually between 20 and 25, and we had, what was it, 23 tonight? So
23.
That was a pretty good run.
Yeah, for sure. There was definitely a lot of cars here tonight. Well, we are going to Canadian Tire next week. A bit back out of your wheelhouse on the roads, but how you feeling?
We'll see if I don't have a wheel issue that locks up to where I have to pull off the track again. For whatever reason, I keep having equipment issues on these roads. I can't figure out why, but that's what happened the last track. I was running around, and next thing I know, it's just pull off in the grass. Anytime you see me just pull off, and that's why. Um, so we'll see how it works, but yeah, I don't expect to get a win there. I'd just be happy getting in top 10.
All right. Well, anything else you want to say? Anybody you want to thank before I let you go here?
Thank for Dustin for running a great league. Evan for stepping up and wanting to be a major sponsor for the league. You, of course, for doing the sponsor, the broadcast. Everyone else for being a part of the league and just being awesome to run with. And then my family for supporting me and letting me do this while they run around and do other things.
Absolutely. Well, thanks a lot, Steve, and congrats on that fourth position. Look forward to seeing if you can do some good stuff next week as well.
All right, take care.
All right. And that is going to do it for sure, though, here, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the post-race. I just saw Steve had hopped back in. Looked like he wanted to chat. We have a pretty open interview waiting room. If you're kind of new or you're watching this back and you've always thought, man, I want to get interviewed after the race, I can't interview all of you. There's 23 people. That's a lot to get through. But I do try to pull in interesting people or people that had stuff throughout the night. But obviously, if you want to talk, if you feel like you have something really interesting to say and I see your name in there and I remember what you went through or saw some of your stuff, I will pull you in. So, racers, make sure you jump into that interview waiting room. And if I see and I think it's a good idea to pull you in, I will. If not, I'll let you know and apologize for that it just wasn't very feasible to do at the time. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, thank you so much. And I do wish you a wonderful evening and a great weekend as I tell you goodbye and good night.